Hello and welcome to the News at 7, where we get to the heart of the day's stories in communities across Scotland. Tonight, a promise from government to overhaul the care system and improve the outlook for thousands of young Scots. But is it delivering? 5 years into the scheme, Scotland's public spending watchdog highlights failings in the way the project's been managed and communicated.
The government is turning to charities more and more to fill the gaps.
Ministers say they've decreased the number of children in care over the past 5 years. We'll hear from a charity at the sharp end of a challenging system. Also tonight, can Scotland's smallest secondary school be saved? A parent from Dalry in Dumfries and Galloway says teachers and pupils are ready to adapt to fight off the threat of closure. And we will have all the sport too, of course, with Sheila. What have you got for us this evening?
We'll hear from Steve Clark, Ryan Christie and Greece-based Greg Taylor as Scotland prepare for a crucial World Cup qualifying doubleheader at Hampden.
And later, as the Celebrity Traitors launches tonight, we'll hear from a former Scottish contestant who's still very much faithful to the show. Hi, I'm Laura McKeever. Welcome to the News at 7. 5 years ago, the Scottish Government made a promise to vastly improve Scotland's care system and change the lives of vulnerable children and young adults by 2030. At the halfway point of the plan, the country's public spending watchdog has called into question whether that promise is being delivered. The Auditor-General has cited failings in the initial planning for the scheme and noted issues with its methodology, accountability and measures of success. Anna and Richie have been foster parents for more than a decade and have told BBC Scotland News about their struggles with the system.
In the 17 years since we've been doing it, there just isn't the funding anywhere across all services. The mental health service is in crisis. The education service is in crisis. The government is turning to charities more and more to fill the gaps.
Well, Children First is a charity that works with young people in the care system. And earlier I asked their Chief Executive, Mary Glasgow, whether she agrees with Anna and Richie's assessment that charities are picking up a lot of the strain on the system.
Absolutely. I mean, gone are the days when charities did the extra. We are now a core part of the delivery of public services, but we do that under increasing strain, with a lack of funding and also insecure funding that's often given to us on a year-by-year basis, so it makes it really difficult to plan. And yet what we do is often the really important work that prevents children being harmed and keeps them at home safely with their own families, which in essence is what the promise is all about.
Well, let's talk about the promise. In the years since it was made, have you noticed a difference in what is available to children in the care system?
I think we've definitely noticed that there is progress, but I think that we agree with this report that that progress is not going fast enough, that it's complex, that it's demanding and it's difficult, especially in the current context, but it's the most urgent policy objective that we have in this country, and that we really need to get ourselves behind this notion that we can and must do better for our children. We need to reduce bureaucracy and complexity, and we need to address the problem that Scotland has in terms of implementing really good policy. We need to make sure that we keep our eye on the prize, which is the promise, and really speed things up and get on and deliver.
We have spoken to the Scottish Government. We've asked for their response on this today, and the Minister responsible, Natalie Dawn Innes, told us that transformational change takes time. Let's just listen to her response.
Promise on the progress in Scotland is going well. I think that we have seen great strides in terms of, our priority and our investment in delivering on the promise. But I appreciate the Audit Scotland report does show some challenges, and that is going to be, our focus for the coming years. We know we still have a way to go to deliver on the aims of the promise, but I'm confident that we can get there.
Do you share her confidence that they can get there?
I share the hope that we can get there, and I would share the confidence that there's definitely the will. I think what we need to do is really push for the action that's required to make that commitment and that promise good.
Because the cost ultimately is young people's lives and their futures.
There's nothing more important to the prosperity of this country than our ability to deliver on the promise. And the single biggest thing we can do is make the shift in Scotland that's long been asked for, which is to reform our public services so that they can move down toward the preventative end of the kind of scheme, to make sure that we don't spend too much money on crisis and we actually prevent those children needing to be removed from their families in the first place.
Mary, really good to hear from you today. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Next tonight, patients treated at A&E in Aberdeen will be the first in the country to be routinely offered a potentially life-saving test for HIV and hepatitis B and C. The move follows a successful trial at Aberdeen Royal Infirmary last year, when around 25 people were found to have previously undiagnosed blood-borne viruses. DJ Whittingham of the LGBT+ charity 4 Pillars lives with HIV and says the testing offer will stop others suffering the way he did.
So when I was diagnosed in 2009, things were so much different back then. You know, I got told by my GP, and originally got told I had 10 years to live. It's 2025 now, I'm still here. So, you know, it has changed a lot. But I was traumatized, you know. That still sticks with me now. My doctor telling me that I had, you know, my life was over. I had 10 years to live and that was going to be it. Obviously, that's not the case because medication has come on. Had this scheme been around then I would have been caught earlier and I would have been on medication sooner.
Dr Gareth Patton is an A&E consultant at Aberdeen Royal Infirmary, and he told our reporter Ben Phillip how the testing programme works and who it's designed to help.
So all patients coming through the department who are having blood tests performed as part of their usual workup will have the opportunity to have an additional sample taken and sent off for testing for hepatitis B, hepatitis C and HIV.
And tell me about the pilot last year and the numbers and what kind of happened around that?
Yeah, so the pilot previously we ran for just over 3 months to reach our test numbers. Very similar scheme to what we're running now. We had approximately 4,500 tests performed, and we're fortunate enough that we had a reasonably good pickup, about 1 in 180 tests coming back positive. So a reasonable amount of previously undiagnosed blood-borne viruses being detected, and patients therefore with the systems we have in place get linked straight into specialist care for further workup and assessment.
I suppose the problem with blood-borne viruses, in the early stages anyway, a lot of them are asymptomatic.
Yeah, so there'll be patients in our community that have a blood-borne virus that they're oblivious to. They don't know, they have no symptoms, and this sort of opportunistic testing gives us a chance to identify that early before any complications or problems with the virus later in illness develop. It's one additional tube of blood, and we're not doing any investigations of patients who wouldn't have blood tests performed. The sample gets taken with the other bloods. It adds approximately 30 seconds of admin duties onto the patient journey, but has no impact on their wait and stay within the emergency department, and certainly doesn't affect waiting times, which I think is a really important thing to stress.
Dr Gareth Patton talking to Ben Phillip there. Thank you for joining us on tonight's News at 7, with more to come in the programme, including the author of the best-selling Shetland books tells us why her most iconic character has set up home in Orkney.
A brighter day on the way tomorrow, largely dry, but it will be breezy from the west with a strong wind, gales in the Northern Isles. I'll have a full forecast later.
To the southwest now. Scotland's smallest secondary school with just 13 pupils is facing an uncertain future once more. Dalrye Secondary in Dumfries and Galloway had faced a similar situation last year, and now the local authority has confirmed it will be reviewed in the coming months. The cost of running it last year ran to nearly £50,000 per pupil, but parents say it's a vital service in a rural community with the nearest alternative 15 miles away. I've been speaking to one of them, Anne McEwen, who also chairs the Parent Council, and I asked her about the value of the school.
I can speak from both a personal perspective and from what other parents at the Parent Forum have shared. We've been in the area for 11 years now, and one of the main reasons for moving to the area was actually attraction of having a small secondary school. We have small class sizes, teachers who know the pupils really, really well and can really help them follow their academic journey through the S1 to S4 class and then onwards. We've got some really amazing results locally as well from people that have come back to the school and have said, hey, we used to go to Dalry, this is what we do now, and that have come back to share with the pupils. But more than that, the school is the heart of the community. We know that if we have less options available, then it's going to be harder for families to move into the area. Rural depopulation is a real concern, and it should be a real concern for anyone living in a rural community in Scotland.
Do you also accept, though, that it is expensive to keep such a small school open? And what would you say is the best outcome here?
I would like a real look at what rural education can look at, and we're the smallest school in Scotland at the moment. If we close or the offering is reduced, then there's going to be another school that follows. This is not a one-off conversation. This is a conversation that should be had across Scotland with all the rural communities, and we should be looking at what should rural education look like, what offer can we make available, and it's not going to be the same as urban education, and that's okay, because you can still have education that's valued in the same way, that gives young people similar experiences, but it looks differently. So I would like to see really bold ideas coming forward. I would like to see opportunities created out of this rather than just a reduction in offer or a closure of the school.
OK, and we'll hopefully get an update on that soon. But thank you so much for filling us in today. Good to have you on.
OK, thank you very much.
Let's get a roundup now of some of the stories making the BBC News app in Scotland. US prosecutors have claimed a Libyan man freely confessed to taking part in the 1980 Lockerbie bombing. The accused says 3 masked men forced him to make the statement. A worker has died after being seriously injured in an incident at a packaging factory in Cumbernauld. Emergency crews were called to the Petrevie site early this morning. And caravan owners in Stonehaven have expressed their displeasure after a giant green dome housing tennis courts appeared on the town's scenic waterfront. The constructors say the facility is world class. For more information on all of these stories, you can scan the QR code. It's there for you in the screen now, and it will take you to the BBC Scotland News app, where there's more for you, including the reason Scotland's population is rising to record levels despite deaths outnumbering births. Now, the main character in the Shetland TV series is making a long-awaited return in a new book written by the best-selling author Anne Cleeves. Detective Inspector Jimmy Perez is back, solving murders, but this time he's swapping Shetland for Orkney. The story is set 7 years after his last outing and was launched at a special event in Kirkwall. David Delday went along to find out why he's been brought back.
Hi, Asha. It's me, it's Jimmy.
The fictional detective who has become one of Shetland's most famous sons. Played by Douglas Henschel, Jimmy Perez has solved countless island murders. But of course, he began life as a character in a series of books. His last appearance in Wildfire in 2018 looked like it may be the last we saw of him. But now he's back, and, somewhat controversially, has swapped one half of the Northern Isles for the other.
I just had him sailing off in the sunset from Shetland to Orkney, and I thought that was it. I was never going to write any more Jimmy Perez books. But then I get kind of homesick for the Northern Isles, because I love that bleak beauty that you get up here and that light. And I wanted to find out what had happened to Jimmy in those intervening years.
The new book, The Killing Stone, sees the rugged Shetland landscape replaced by the much flatter, greener backdrop here in Orkney. When Perez's friend Archie goes missing in the island of Westray, he can't help but get involved.
It's hard for Jimmy because this is his friend and he should step back because he shouldn't be involved in the investigation. So his partner Willow takes over, but Jim is still there fighting in the background and finding out all sorts of secrets that he maybe wished he hadn't known.
Well, Perez has also been retired from the TV series and replaced by DI Ruth Calder. For fans of the detective, some good news. There's more to come.
It started off, I had in my mind that it would be a one-off, but I've had such fun writing it. And there's been such great reaction to Jimmy coming back that I think there probably will be more. And anyway, I can't wait to explore more of the islands, because I can kill people anywhere.
And while there are no plans for an on-screen comeback just yet, the author says it's not something to rule out either. David Eldey, reporting Scotland, Orkney.
Still to come, we have the weather with Christopher, and ahead of the Celebrity Traitors launch tonight, we'll examine the spin-offs for tartan tourism and hear it from a former contestant too. First though, it is time for tonight's Sport with Sheila.
Thanks, Laura. Hello there. Head coach Steve Clarke says the Scotland team have come a long way since he took over 6.5 years ago. He'll equal Craig Brown's record of leading the squad for the 71st time when they take on Greece at Hampden tomorrow night in World Cup qualifying. Well, this is how things stand in Group C as Scotland seek to move closer to ending a 27-year wait to reach the tournament. After Greece, Clarke's men host Belarus on Sunday, and he admits becoming the country's longest-serving head coach was never his aim.
I have to be honest, I didn't give it a thought when I first took the job. You take the job, you don't know what's ahead of you. To be here 6 and a bit years later with so many games as head coach is obviously a really, really good place for me to be. I'm only here because of the qualities of the players that I've had and that I've had the good fortune of looking after. So I thank them, I thank the staff that have got me to this point. But really is something to reflect on when I'm old, even older. I'll not say older, even older, and something to look back on and reflect on. For now, the business is qualifying for the World Cup, and I'm fully focused on that.
Well, international left-back Greg Taylor isn't in the current Scotland squad, but he is now playing his club football in Greece with PAOK, where he's been rubbing shoulders with some of the Greek players who'll face Scotland tomorrow.
Yeah, from speaking to the guys in the team who are away to camp, they know it's a really important game. They obviously had a disappointing result in their last game, and I think had a positive result in the Nations League campaign at Hampden. So I think it's mixed. They know it's a difficult game, but it's one they really need to get points for.
Yeah, we've seen both sides of Greece, haven't we, so far in this campaign? That incredible win over Belarus, and then a result we didn't see coming, that 3-0 defeat to Denmark. What's the reaction?
Young team, they really thought this was going to be a positive campaign for them, so it went as expected in the first game, and then the second game, I think it just shows how well the Scotland boys did in Denmark, because Denmark are a really strong team, and they showed it in Greece. They put on a really dominant performance, and from speaking to the boys when they came back, they said that Denmark were of a really high level. So I think that game was disappointing, but I think they were more like saying how good Denmark were.
Yeah, Greece enjoyed themselves the last time they came to Hampden, and Scotland will want to forget. You know some of the Greek young players that are coming through. One of them you play with at PAOK, Yannis Konstantelias. What's the feeling about him and how far he can go?
Yeah, Yannis he's an incredible talent from the world and wants the ball in any situation. So obviously a real player that Scotland will need to keep an eye on, because he has a super talent, and I know that from speaking to him, there is a lot of young players that are similar levels, similar styles than that Greek team.
Any other dangers then that Steve Clarke should watch out for tomorrow?
I'm sure the manager has that covered. He's not one for missing anything, so I'm sure that he'll be doing his own diligence and won't need me to point that out. But the obvious ones are, as you said, Yannis. I think the striker plays for Benfica, and we played against last season with Celtic, the winger who's in Club Brugge. So yeah, there is a real strong attacking lineup there.
I know you'll be watching the match closely tomorrow night. How hopeful are you of getting back in the Scotland squad soon?
Yeah, I think I touched on this the last time I spoke to Scott and Neil in the studio. I need to focus on my club form here. I've not been in the team regularly enough. I've played 4 or 5 games, but I need to be playing regularly and playing well before the Scotland stuff comes. So once I'm doing that again and playing as regularly as I'd like, then hopefully I can get my way back in.
Well, I hope you enjoy yourself tomorrow night. Don't celebrate too loudly.
And no, I'll try and behave.
Thanks very much for joining us, and best of luck for the rest of the season with PAOK. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Greg Taylor speaking to me earlier. Well, one man eager to not have any regrets from this World Cup qualifying campaign is forward Ryan Christie, who's in line to win his 62nd cap at home to Greece tomorrow. The 30-year-old has been playing with Bournemouth since 2021 and is a key part of a Cherry side who sit 4th in the Premier League. Christie feels he's producing the best football of his career and hopes that can contribute to a positive double-header for Scotland.
You know, personally, I feel great. You know, you come away with Scotland and, you know, I've been very lucky to be involved in this kind of setup for a long time now, but sometimes you need to have the kind of reality check that the chances to qualify for a World Cup, you know, are probably few and far between the older you get, so it makes you kind of even more desperate to try and grab it with both hands.
Remember, there's a lot more to read and watch on the BBC Sport Scotland website, including news on Olympic diver Grace Reid announcing her retirement from the sport at the age of 29. And that's your sport.
We are looking forward to tomorrow night with our nerves. Now tell me, are you a Traitors fan, Sheila?
I am a Traitors fan. I'm a faithful Traitors fan.
Me too. Well, lots of us are, and the hit BBC series returns tonight with its star-studded celebrity version, including the likes of comedian Stephen Fry, the Scottish actor Mark Bonnar, Olympian Tom Daley and the singer Paloma Faith. My goodness.
Oh, the castle! There it is.
Now I know. Highlands host Claudia Winkleman will pit a handful of secret treaters against faithfuls in a series of intense and psychological challenges with 100 grand at stake for each celebrity's chosen charity. Both the US and the UK version are shot in the same place, which is good news economically. Jenny Steele from Visit Scotland says so-called screen tourism in general is worth £161 million a year here.
What we've seen from past series of The Traitors, there's a huge interest in that whole the setting where it's made, that kind of heritage, history, the myths, mystery, you know, that kind of Highland traditions. So yeah, absolutely thinking that, you know, the next series is going to, you know, give us even more.
And a lot of Americans watching this because, of course, it was also the location for the US Traitors. Do you think it gives them a realistic idea of how we actually live?
I think the US market is absolutely, you know, it's our main international market for Visit Scotland and attracting visitors to Scotland. And I think in certain the way that it's you know, presented by Alan Cumming, it's quite, you know, sort of really theatrical, quite dramatic. There's a lot of, you know, more sort of tartan and the sort of the heritage and the culture in that one. So it really appeals to what US visitors really look for in Scotland. But the beauty of that is that, you know, if they are inspired to come and see that based on the show, then yes, you know, it may be kind of, you know, quite dramatic, but actually it's inspiring them to go and look at a lot more of Scotland's cultural heritage, the locations, different scenery, landscapes, all the things that we know people love about Scotland.
Jenny Steele from Visit Scotland there. Well, former faithful and season 2 contestant Brian Davidson from Glasgow knows all about the pressures of the game, and he is here with us. Lovely to see you, Brian.
Thanks for having me.
Take us inside the game then, in the castle. How on earth do you get into that headspace?
I don't think you can. A lot of them will be going in thinking they know what it's like. They've been in front of the cameras for a lot of their life.
Yeah.
But the way it's produced, they'll be very strict with them and they'll put them in their place. So I don't think you can get yourself in that headspace.
Do you think the acting skills will help or hinder them? Because some of them will have.
Yeah, possibly. Like, they're all, well, professional show-offs.
They're performers, aren't
they? Yeah,
they?
exactly. I think you can, I don't know, you can do as much as you can, but when you're at the round table and something happens and puts you off your stride a little bit, you're gone, you're going to fall.
Well, take us back, because you had that experience, didn't you? And we all felt it for you, Brian. We really did, because it's the kind of thing all of us would do. But it must be really hard to just not start second-guessing yourself and getting in your own head.
Exactly. It's because you've got so many things going around your head, especially me. That happens to me all the time in day-to-day life. But thinking of, oh, who's voting for me? Who's saying what? And all this sort of thing. So if they're also thinking, oh, I can't say that because the public might think something about me in my career, or, oh, I need to act this way, or people will unfold, hopefully. That's what I'm hoping for. I can't be the only one to break down at that
you
table.
You are definitely not the only one, for sure. How would you advise them then?
Definitely to stick to a game plan and keep it cool, because that's what I would do if I went back in. But yeah, stick to a game plan and don't deviate from that plan.
Did you enjoy the experience though?
Oh, 100%. I think I'm a little bit ill in the head, because I would go back in a second, but now it's like I've got a new thought process. I know what I would do now, so yeah, I'd do it in a second.
Do you think it makes people second guess others around them and the way that people maybe think and function, you know, whether that's in the workplace or elsewhere?
Yeah, definitely, because you would be having conversations with people out with the round table, and then in the round table you're like, wait a minute, why are you saying that to each other, or you're saying that to me? So it does actually make you second guess people when you come out of the experience. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they deal with that in there as well, because they've all got preconceptions of each other. So
yeah, quickly, who are you looking forward to?
Joe Wilkinson, definitely. I think he's going to be a fantastic traitor or faithful. I think he's number one for me to be a traitor. So definitely him, and Joe Marler as well.
Okay, we will all be watching, looking forward to it. Lovely to see you, Brian.
Thanks.
Enjoy it. And you can find out who is a faithful and who is a traitor when the Celebrity Traitor starts tonight. It's 9 o'clock, BBC One Scotland. You can also catch it on iPlayer 2. And we, of course, will be following along, also hoping Scotland's own Mark Bonner maybe can outwit his fellow celebrities on home soil. Traitors fan Christopher is here, but he's going to talk about the weather, unfortunately. We'll get to traitors, I'm sure, at some point. You're looking forward to it, aren't you?
Very much so.
How's the weather in the Highlands and elsewhere?
Quiet, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Let me show you some of the pictures that have come in today. A lot of cloud around, a few glimpses of brightness there in Perthshire, Dunkeld, but a lot of cloud and grey skies. Shetland had a bit of sunshine at times, and it's largely settled over the coming days. Let me show you what's happening, because this is the pressure sequence over the next few days. We've got high pressure trying to move in from the south, but at the same time an Atlantic influence, bringing a few weather fronts, bringing some moist air. That means cloud, really. So let's take a look first thing tomorrow morning, and it's a bit of a cloudy start. In fact, we've got a cold front draped across the south, bringing cloudy conditions through the borders, South Lanarkshire, in towards Dumfries and Galloway, Ayrshire, maybe spots or two of rain there in towards Arran. Central Belt northwards, it's dry with a bit of brightness to start your day, and it will be breezy from the west, particularly around northern coast and the Northern Isles, where we could see wind gusts up to gale force through the day. So as we go through the morning towards lunchtime, bit of a north-south split, best of the sunshine further north, that cloud just lingering in the south, temperatures around about the mid-teens. For the World Cup qualifier at Hampden, it looks dry and certainly won't be chilly either. Coverage on this channel and elsewhere across the BBC. And then to Friday, that high pressure sticking with us to the south, and that means once again it's a westerly wind. It will be quite blustery at times, feeding in cloud through many central and western areas. Brighter skies in the east and in the northeast. We could see temperatures up to around 18 degrees given some sunshine. Those winds just a little bit lighter compared with tomorrow. And then to the weekend, this is Saturday now. Once again, it's largely dry and settled. As I say, not an awful lot going on. Fairly cloudy at times, temperatures mid-teens. And that high pressure is set to stick with us. This is the picture on Sunday. You'll notice we've got a weather front sort of trapped in there, and that could produce one or two spots of rain or drizzle from that thicker cloud. But generally it's dry. So this is the picture on Sunday. You can see that weather front there. You can see the high pressure overhead. Once again, temperatures here in Scotland around about the mid-teens. But as I mentioned, that high pressure is sticking with us right into next week, perhaps into next weekend as well. So a lot of dry weather at times, a lot of cloud at times too. That's the forecast for now.
Dry and mild at Hampden tomorrow. That's what we need. You've done it. Thank you, Chris. And thank you for your company tonight. We will see you tomorrow at 7. Bye-bye.